Hello and welcome to the Raw podcast brought to you by the Sunderland Echo. And today we're going to be looking ahead to Sunderland's championship fixture against Coventry City at the CBS Arena. So to preview the match, joining myself, Joe Nicholson, we are joined by Mark Smith from SkyBlueFansTV. Mark, how's things with you?
Yeah, good, thanks. Yeah, looking forward to the game tomorrow. Should be a cracker.
Yeah, remember it's a 12:30 kickoff as well. So get along early to that one. We're going to be having a look at how Coventry are doing in the table. They are 11th place. Looks like they are in good form with 2 wins in a row. So, Mark, how is the mood in the camp heading into Saturday's game against Sunderland?
Yeah, I think we're going into the game with confidence. We've beaten, as you just said there, two wins on the trot. I think a lot of it is down to getting all our better players back, with the exception of Callum O'Hare. Carl McFadden in the back has been fantastic since he's come back from injury. He's definitely a leader. I mean, we lacked leadership before he came back, so he's a massive tick in the box to have him back. I think last week, were the 2 games we've created chances. We haven't really we could have scored more goals than we had actually. But what we are doing is we're keeping clean sheets, and that bodes well for especially tomorrow. So we're playing against a very good Sunderland side who are doing really well this season.
We saw Coventry the last time. It was the first game of the season. It was actually the end of July, the 1-1 draw at the Stadium of Light. Jack Clark getting the opener, and then Victor Gyökeres equalising late on. So in terms of kind of how the team is setting up, who the key players are, has much changed at Coventry since that match?
Not really. It's a similar formation. We generally play. Robbins doesn't always play the same sort of tactics-wise. He generally will go one up front with Gyökeres as the lone striker. He generally plays sort of two kind of number 10s positions. So he'll probably go Casey Palmer and Jamie Allen in that sort of supporting bits of Gyökeres up front. There's maybe a doubt on Ben Sheaf because he's been injured last few games. He's got a calf injury. Not too sure whether he'll be back for tomorrow's game. But Josh Eccles has come in and has done a really, really good job in midfield. So I think I'd expect him to start with Gus Hamer. Probably the only real change to personnel I'd say is obviously we added McNally on loan from Burnley, who's will be part back 3 with McFadden and Callum Doyle. Obviously, quite well from Sunderland last season. He's done really well. I think he'll play 2 wing backs. Probably a similar team to last week. So I expect Norton Cuffy and Jake Bidwell to be sort of the wing backs and Ben Wilson in goal. So, yeah, I think we've got a reasonably good side for tomorrow. It's definitely a game that the crowd are really looking forward to, and hopefully we can get those 3 points.
Yeah, you mentioned Callum Doyle there, so we'll come on to him. Obviously, a player that was on loan at Sunderland last season. He didn't play in the game at the Stadium of Light when I think he'd just signed for Coventry, but it looks like he's now had a run of starts. So just looking, he's had 27 appearances in the Championship this season. So how has he done in recent weeks, and how has he kind of settled into the side?
Yeah, he probably had a slightly shaky start, if I have to be honest. There was one game against Cardiff he actually got substituted because Robbins had a few concerns about him. But as the season's progressed, he's been really, really good. He's reading the game's good. His passing's good. You can see why Manchester City, want him from the long term because he has got class. So, yeah, he's as the game's progressed, he's been really, really good for us.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, the big threat up front for Coventry is Victor Gyökeres. Just looking, he's got 14 goals in the Championship this season. He had actually gone, I think, 7 games without a goal, but he's then scored in his last 2. So just how important is he to the side, and who are the other sort of key players? I know you mentioned a few there that Sunderland will have to watch out for on Saturday.
Well, Gyökeres is absolutely pivotal. I mean, it's not just the goals he scores, but his all-round play. He's probably one of the best strikers, with his back to goal. I think his finishing, despite him getting 14 goals, his finishing can be a bit erratic. He can miss. He does miss a few one-on-ones, but he can score some absolute pearlers as well. So, he scored a really good goal against Millwall a couple of games back. He scored a relatively simple goal with Rotherham, but then he missed a one-on-one as well, and he's missed a few one-on-ones. But he's our leader. I mean, that's the thing. He lots of teams tend to put 2 or 3 players on him, which then opens gaps in other parts of the pitch. So, hopefully that'll be the case tomorrow. I think for other players to watch out for, I think Gus Hamer is always a threat. Casey Palmer's been in really good form as well. So they're probably our better 2 players, certainly from an attacking sense. But we've also got options off the bench. Matty Godden come back from an injury, and I don't think he'll start tomorrow. But I think he'll be a good player to come on. And obviously he likes scoring at Sunderland, because I think he scored in the game of St Andrews in League One, I think, a few seasons back. So I think we've got plenty of options. We've got plenty of. I mean, obviously we've got some really good players, and they're having an unbelievable season under Tony Mowbray. So we certainly cannot underestimate them. They've been fantastic. But we should go to this game with any fear at all. We should be relishing this game, really.
Mm-hmm. We're just looking at the table as well. Coventry are 11th in the table, but only 4 points behind Sunderland with a game in hand. So I think they're 5 points off the playoffs. So is there still kind of a hope that they could maybe have a late push for the top 6? And what kind of would the aim be for the remainder of the season?
My personal aim, I think top 10 would be a good season overall. But I would say in the current situation we're in, given we've still got 14 games left, I think you've got to go for the playoffs. I think it's all to play for. You only look at the teams above us, and everyone's dropping points. So if we can just get on the run and win, quite a few games on the trot, then it's there for the taking. So yeah, we're in the mix, but these are games tomorrow we've got to win. We've got to win our home games and keep up momentum, because we've got 2 wins down the trot. Let's keep that momentum up, and hopefully we can get those 3 points tomorrow, and put some pressure on the teams above us.
And you mentioned before how Coventry probably likely to set up with that back 3 and with wing backs. That's how they've played all season. But when we saw them at the Stadium of Light, it was quite clear that they wanted to have a go at Sunderland. They were trying to play out from the back. It was quite different to what Sunderland fans had probably seen in League One, where you had teams that were trying to waste time and run the clock down and maybe play for a draw. So at home, is that how they're going to approach the game again? And how do you see them kind of approaching the game against Sunderland at home?
Yeah, I'd imagine a similar way. Occasionally, what I tend to find is if we do win, if we are ahead, shall I say, we tend to go a bit more direct to Gyökeres, and his role is obviously win that ball and bring other players into play. But majority of the time, yes, our football at home is generally we like to play on the floor, keep on the floor, and we play quite a patient game, I'd say.
And also, you mentioned Tony Mowbray as well. He did actually have a brief spell at Coventry between 2015 and 2016. How has he kind of remembered there? Because obviously it didn't go too well for him as it's gone maybe at other clubs. And as you said, he has now done well, is doing well at Sunderland. So kind of how is he still viewed at Coventry?
Yeah, I think he's done an okay job for us. I wouldn't say it was a great job. We had a side then where we had quite a lot of loan players. I think Joe Cole featured around that time, and we finished I think top 10 in League One. But then second season was a really poor season, and he got the sack. So I wouldn't say he's remembered fondly, but he's a good manager. There's no doubt about that. He's an experienced manager, and obviously from a Sunderland point of view, he came into the Sunderland job, after Alex Neil walked out and went to Stoke, and he's done a great job for you. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say he's remembered fondly with us. Not in the same breath as Mark Robbins, but we certainly respect him as a manager. He's done a good job. Did a good job at Blackburn last season as well. So in most of the clubs he's been at, he's done well.
And you mentioned Mark Robbins there. I think he's the longest serving manager in the Championship. He's been there 5 years. What's the kind of view on him? I'm assuming he's done a great job, and I'm assuming the fans really appreciate the job he's kind of done there, especially with the difficulties at the start of this season with the pitch and not being able to play at home. He seems to have really got them through that tricky period. Yeah, I mean,
obviously he's a legend really with the fans. He's done an unbelievable job from the depths of League Two back to the Championship, and now obviously things off the field, although it's been a really bad start off the field, it's actually turned kind of a little bit full circle, because now we've got a new owner in Doug King, who has made a decent start, I would say, as the owner, because we haven't sold Gyökeres. He said it in a press conference that we wouldn't want to sell him, particularly in January, and he's kept his word. Obviously, what happens to summer is another thing. But Robins, yeah, he's been brilliant for us. Not just him, but Adrian Firebash, Dennis Lawrence have all been brilliant for us. And one thing he has done really well is there's always a really good team spirit at Coventry City. You know, the players all get on fine. There's no egos at the club, and he's instilled that. And yeah, since we've come back to the Championship, this is our third season in the Championship. We are making steady progress, but the aim is to get back to the Premier League, because for a club of our size, we've been outside the top flight for over 20 years now, and I think we'll be back, but I think Robins is the right man. We've got to be patient. It's not going to be an easy. It's not going to be easy, but I think the future looks bright. I think hopefully in the summer we can. Obviously, there's a lot of rebuilding to be done in terms of comings and goings, but I think if Robins stays at the helm, I've got a lot of faith that we can get back to the promised land of the Premier League.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know how much you've seen of Sunderland this season. I know it's a game you said at the start that you think Coventry have to win if they want to kind of push for the top six. But what have you kind of made of Sunderland since they came back into the Championship, and where do you think the key battles will be and where the game will be won and lost on Saturday?
Yeah, I've been very impressed with Sunderland this season. I think I've seen a few games. I saw the first game of the season. I thought Sunderland were the better side first half. As I say, I've been impressed with Jack Clark. Patrick Roberts has been a really good player for Sunderland. I think losing Ross Stewart has been a big blow for you, because I think he scored a lot of goals. He looks a really good player. So I've not seen a lot of Joe Gelhardt, who obviously is coming from Leeds, but I know he scored a couple of goals. But yeah, I mean, I saw the cup game. I think it was against Fulham.
It's Fulham, yeah.
And Fulham, I thought territorially were a better side, but Sunderland they battled really hard. But look, it's going to be a tough game tomorrow. Sunderland are a really good side, and it's going to be a massive test for us. But look, every game in the Championship is not easy. Whether you're playing Sunderland, you're playing Wigan, whoever, you've got to be up for the fight. And if we're up for the fight tomorrow, then we can win. I mean, on our day we can beat any team's division, but also we can lose as well. And that's the challenge in the whole. But Sunderland, I think, have probably exceeded expectations this season. I'd say probably at the start of the season, I'd have said if you got mid-table, that'd been a really good season. But like ourselves, the playoffs is very open. I mean, anyone can get to the playoffs. I think there's not many points that separates the sides, in the top, from sort of probably fourth position onwards, and there's not many points in it. So it's definitely up for grabs. So I'm really looking forward to the game tomorrow.
Yeah, as you say, it is very tight. I think if Sunderland had won away at Rotherham the other night, they would have been fourth. They're now down as far as eighth, and then you just go a few points back. You have got Coventry 4 points behind, just looking at the table now, but they have got that game in hand. So, as you say, it is incredibly tight, and there's usually one team that kind of comes from the bottom half of the table, maybe makes a late run for the playoffs. So still, as you say, very open, and the result tomorrow could put either team in a very different position in the table. So we'll just finish, Mark. We usually finish by asking our guests just to predict how the game's going to go. How do you see it kind of panning out, and just for a quick score prediction?
I think it'll be a tight game. I don't think it's going to be a lot in it. I have to say, I'm for those who watch SkyBlueFansTV will know that I usually go for a draw. But I have to be optimistic and go for a 1-0 win to us. But I think it'll be a very tight game. I don't think it's going to be a lot in it. But we have to be at our best to beat Sunderland. That's the thing, because we can't afford to switch off. They've got some really good players who can hurt us. So, but I have to say 1-0 Cov, obviously. But I think it'll be a tight game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how Sunderland react from their defeat at Rotherham. They have been on a really good run, and you kind of always expected with a young side that maybe a poorer performance was coming, not because they've been playing particularly badly, just because it is a young side. The squad's been quite stretched with injuries as well, and they've had quite a busy schedule. So it'll be interesting to see how they react. I think Coventry are in good form, as you say, with 2 wins in a row, and have clearly tightened up at the back. So it will be a big ask for Sunderland to go again with a busy schedule. Obviously, a lot of teams in the Championship have had that. So I'll go for a 1-1 draw, but I think it'll be interesting to see how Sunderland react after that setback at Rotherham on Tuesday night. But Mark, thanks a lot for joining us on the latest episode of the Raw podcast. For all the latest SAFC news, you can head over to the SAFC section of the Sunderland Echo website. You can find the thoughts of Sunderland head coach Tony Mowbray, who spoke to the media on Thursday, and we'll also have more build-up to Saturday's match against Coventry, and we'll also be at the CBS Arena on Saturday, as we'll have live updates and analysis, as well as post-match reaction. Once again, thanks a lot for listening to the Raw podcast.